Bruce, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time.
My pleasure, Sven. I like all the F1 cars behind you.
Thank you. I've always believed that the most powerful brands in the world don't just create moments, they create emotional recall. You have done that in a way very few people ever did. So in my world, I'm designing experience that move people, shift perceptions, and elevate brand equity. And when I look at what you have built with your presence and voice, it's more than performance, it's business mastery. So to today, my goal is very simple. I want to go deeper in the usual, not in the usual fight night talk. I want to get into the psychology, the strategy, and the decision behind the empire you have built, and how that translates into business, brand, and legacy. Is that fine for you?
Go for it. Ask me anything you want.
Yeah, you create I create premium appearances and live events, and the presents aren't just part of the moment, they are the product. So you have turned your voice into a recognizable, immersive experience on a global stage. So when did you first realize that your voice wasn't just a tool, but a scalable brand asset with real commercial value?
Well, first off, I appreciate your words, your very kind words, and thank you so much for that. When I set out to do what I did, I always thought to myself, it's going to take me time to perfect my craft. But I thought to myself, it's not what I say, it's how I say it. And I wasn't phrase driven in the beginning. I managed my brother for over 30 years, the famous gentleman, Michael Buffer, known for his amazing phrase, "Let's get ready to rumble," which we trademarked together and built into the brand that it is today. And I learned a lot watching him, but I wanted to develop my own style. And in the beginning, I look back and I didn't have that kind of energy, that kind of whatever. And one thing that really worked for me is announcers have a tendency to stand center stage, stiff and still, looking at their cards and announcing properly. In all respect to all announcers, including my brother, who's like that, but who does it so magnificently and smoothly, with his grace and amazing voice. I had a tiger in me. I needed to move. I have a lot of energy in me. I've been in martial arts since I was 12. I've fought a lot. I was in kickboxing heavily for 12 years, and I understand the fighter mentality. And I wanted to bring that energy into the octagon. And that's when I realized I didn't need to stand in the center. I needed to move. And when I started to move, it helped me enhance my voice even more to accentuate the moment. And then I realized that there's an announcer's voice, and there's a performer's voice, and there's a passionate voice. And since I have such passion for what I do and passion for the people I announce, I wanted to bring all that passion, all that energy, all that lung power in. And I learned to develop a cadence and an intonation. So when I'm doing 12 or 13 fights a night, I'll start off the show big and then go down to a certain realm for those preliminary fights. And if you notice, going into the main event, I'll build it and build it and build it and build it to the crescendo into the main event. So it's a performance that I've just gotten fine-tuned over the years, and just realized that I could take it to each level. It's all through experience. It's all through experience.
Yeah. And so you operate in moments where there's zero margin for error, no retakes, no edits, and millions of people are watching it live. So in business, we call that execution under extreme stakes. So what mental discipline do you have to execute flawlessly in those moments?
Well, the audience helps. If you're performing in front during COVID, I was performing in front of a couple hundred people at the Vegas Apex when we couldn't have arena shows. But I still try to create a moment like there was 5,000 or 10,000 people in the audience. And I feel that I pulled that off. But in answer to your question, when you're doing an event and you have, like I had this weekend, 20,000 people in Montreal, Canada, with their energy coming at me into the octagon and my energy taking them to the next level, I was feeding off their energy. So the bigger the event, the more it enhances my moment for me to do what I need to do.
Yeah. And coming back to your brother, so you build, both of you build an independent brand under the same family tree. So this is actually really rare. And my question is, how did you protect both the business and the relationships that the ego isn't getting in the way?
I mean, where my brand, my business wasn't interfering with his. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
as his manager, I'm very careful about that. I mean, we have a very niche business. I never pitch myself for a job that's for him. Michael is the boxing announcer of the world and sports and entertainment announcer of the world. And requests that come in for us as individuals. So
Mhm.
I deal with them on an individual basis. And my job as his manager is to put him in every big event there is. So I've never crossed paths where it's interfered with the marketing of both of us. And again, my style is different from Michael.
Yeah.
Michael is Michael. I am me. And we're recognized now, as we have been for many, many years individually, for our individual trademark phrases, our individual performances, and what we do. Granted, we're both sports and entertainment announcers, but I've never had a position where it's caused a glitch. We've
Yeah.
been asked to work together, as we did for the Formula One last year, which we announced together, and
Yeah.
that was just quite an honor. It was very unique and quite an honor. Yeah.
Yeah. And so let's flip the octagon. If tomorrow you were made CEO of a legacy brand that had lost relevance, say in automotive or tech, I'm curious, what's the very first move you would make to make it relevant again?
You have to give me that question again. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So if tomorrow you were made a CEO of a big brand that has lost relevance, so in the area of an automotive or tech industry, so what would be the very first thing you would do in order to gain relevance again?
If I had lost my brand and I had to recreate myself,
No, if you would have, step into another company as a CEO.
oh well, I'd as a CEO,
Yes.
um, I've run a number of different companies as CEO over the years. I've had numerous companies before I became the voice of the octagon for the UFC and managing my brother Michael. Uh, I would treat everything on an individual basis. Obviously, I need to know the product. I would have to be a product of the products, have passion for the product, to do all it takes to make that product successful. And if I didn't have passion for the product, I wouldn't do it, right? I just don't want to sell a widget to make a dollar. I want to sell a widget and a digit because I truly believe in them and I feel that, people need them. So if you have a prime product, I would apply all the basic principles, which no matter what kind of product you represent, it could be a diamond in one hand, a coal and piece of coal in another hand. It comes down to marketing.
Mm.
If you market that piece of coal correctly, people see it as a diamond and they buy it. If you market that diamond incorrectly, people don't see it as a diamond and they don't buy it. So marketing is very key. Branding is very key, and to be distinctive and unique. And one thing that I encourage people to do when you're entering a different market is look at 3 or 4 of the most successful companies that do or involved in the market you're in, and look at what you can see as their success formulas, what got them to there. And it's not just getting there, what keeps them consistent, right, in the public eye for there. And apply those principles to your company to create your own unique style. You're not copying, just learn from it and create your own unique style to be recognized for. So you're a standout. And at the
Yeah.
same time, so you got to brand yourself too. If your company's ABC, your email should be ABC, your website should be ABC. Um, your everything should be just AB. Your business card should be AB. Everything should be branded around the same brand, so you're consistent with pushing that brand out there.
Yeah, and in your case, you have built a global identity around one phrase, and this is "it's time." But legacy is bigger than language. So, what do you want that phrase to represent long after you've left the stage?
Passion for the moment. This is truly the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to perform at your best and be the best you can be, right? Like
Yeah,
if I entered any other company, when I do represent other companies, I'll paraphrase it's time to represent their company. It's ABC time. It's this time. I will give you $1,000 cash if before we end this interview, you come up with one line of dialogue that I can't put its time in front of or behind and make it work. Trust me, don't even try, Sven. I know
yeah,
I'll be able to make everything work that you come at me with. Its time is simply slightly generic, but at the same time, it's unique because of the way I say it and the way I branded it into what it is, which again involves the energy, the positive energy, and the positive attitude that it exudes. So I want its time to be a positive reference for anything that it represents. And when I do
Mm.
represent at the companies, they want me to say it for the other companies.
Yeah.
I just, as an example, in Brazil, I did a campaign for Spaten beer, which is a German beer. You can imagine what they had me do. It's Spaten time, right? So like that.
Yeah. So cultural relevance is a moving target, and staying iconic without becoming outdated is one of the hardest things in business, isn't it? How have you stayed sharp and modern without losing the core of what you have been known for, being iconic?
Be consistent, handle myself with class, take the attitude, humble attitude of the fact that it's a privilege to be at the event that I'm at. It's not about me. It's about me being about the event and taking everybody at the event, whether it's a corporate event I'm doing with JT Fox or whether it's a Las Vegas Raider game, F1. I'm announcing the Preakness horse race next week in Baltimore, is to
Cool.
take that moment and make it exciting for everybody and the fans in attendance, and to be consistent with that attitude and to handle myself with class. The branding I have for myself, of course, is the trademark, the way I come out, the way I dress, and just to be consistent in all of that. It's all about branding, right?
Yeah.
And being
Yeah.
respected for the brand that you are.
Absolutely. And most people only see the light and the announcement, but I'm always curious what's about behind the stage. So where's the real business for you, the part that generates long-term revenue most people don't see?
The business for me,
Yes.
long-term revenue. Revenue streams I create out of the base I have. My base is the UFC Octagon, which has allowed me to create various revenue streams out of. I've created my own product lines, such as the It's Time cologne and toiletry line. It's Time Energy, coming out. I have one of the top-selling, highest-rated bourbons in America called Puncher's Chance, right, which I represent along with other companies that hire me as an ambassador to represent their company. So my another company I have called Millions.co, which has thousands of professional and collegiate athletes from all over the world that we make merchandise for and ship and help brand them. Um, so I create revenue streams out of there, which are creating revenue streams for the future. But it's always important to stay relevant, right? And relevancy, meaning in my position, being on TV, being in the octagon, and I don't plan on retiring anytime soon, as long as I physically and mentally can handle the way I do it and the travel, which is the hardest part of any of us doing around the world road warrior type work that we do. Um, Another thing that I've created that's I'm very proud of my business. My partner Kristen and I, we have a very busy audio and video business, where
Mhm.
at my website brucebuffer.com, you can go and order like a championship introduction. Well, I introduce you like a champion in the octagon. That's something that's a keepsake for life, whether it's an audio or video, or we do all requests. I mean, I get requests for birth of babies. We do 10 to 20 weddings a week, through
Wow.
brucebuffer.com.
Yeah.
I'm in the top 10% of people on a app called Cameo, where they can send in video requests too. Although we do only do weddings through my brucebuffer.com site. And this has grown into a very unique niche business that will probably go on for many, many, many years, I would hope.
So, and final question, what would you give as advice for young entrepreneurs to start off?
To be consistent, if you're going to enter into something where you're an entrepreneurial endeavor, have passion for what you're doing. That's very, very key, passion, because if you don't have passion for what you do, when you get knocked down on the canvas, as Rocky said, you got to get up and move forward and punch harder than ever. That's only going to happen if you truly believe in yourself. If you're just going in to sell a digit for $1, you're not going to have that passion. You may be successful, and I hope you are. But one of the key things about having passion for what you do and believing in yourself while you do it is that when you wake up in the morning, you're not just going to work, you're living a lifestyle, and you're building a lifestyle for yourself that you can go home at the end. And when you turn it off or keep it on 24/7, whatever your situation is that day, you're really happy that you're doing it and dealing with it. And you have to believe in your product and be a product of the products.
Yeah, I totally agree. thank you so much, Bruce, for your time. And I wish you all the best. And I hope to see you soon again.
You're welcome, Sven. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank
I
you.
hope to see you at the Formula One in Vegas come
Yeah.
October or November.
Thank you. Bye.